Nancy, the chief secretary. So see me if you don't have, you're not on her general distribution list. I'll make sure that we get that done. So once again, welcome, and I'd like to introduce the chief of police, Chief Ronald Haddad.
Do you need a minute back there? We've been talking about Toys for Tots all morning long and Santa Claus, and now we got to jump into crime. Something's really not right with all of this.
How many toys do you think you collected?
Look to be over 1,000. They're still coming in. And if anyone should ask you, they can bring them in till the end of the week, so until Friday.
How many years have you been collecting Toys for Tots here?
8, 9,
Getting more toys every year?
every year. Total community effort. I couldn't be prouder of our community. Fire department pitched in, our police, men and women of the department.
The
Marine Corps. Thank you for reminding me of that. I don't want a bunch of Marines chasing me around today. Guys set back there? All right, good morning. We're going to talk about a couple of cases this morning, and I'm trying to keep it as direct and simple as I can, but this first case, if I were to say it was extremely complex, it would be an understatement, but it's extremely complex. It took a lot of work to accomplish what I'm going to talk to you about, and I can tell you several months ago, our Wayne County prosecutor, Kim Worthy, recognized the fact that retail fraud had an organized conspiracy behind it, and she formed a task force within her office that's led by Ms. Hammoud here, and you're going to hear from her in a moment. And we got together with our retailers. They're here represented today, as well as the MLCC. The Dearborn Police, along with the Wayne County Prosecutor's Office, conducted an investigation into alleged organized retail fraud enterprise that had been plaguing the metro Detroit area for numerous years. On the morning of November 26th, the Dearborn Police coordinated with federal, state, and local partners to execute multiple search warrants. Items recovered include large amounts of cash, weapons, booze, drugs, the cash totaling $720,000, 3 poker machines that pay out. And subsequent to this extensive, comprehensive investigation, we've made 4 arrests. Beverly Jo Sassan from New Boston, Amanda Lynn Mosed, and Jody Beth Welbis. Each have been charged with 8 counts of felony and related to operating a criminal enterprise. Those 3 are due back in court on December 14th. We also arrested a 4th member, Christopher Buchanan. He was charged with 8 counts of felony, and also he was a convicted felon caught with 2 firearms. So that's the background on this. I'd like to call on Fadwa Hammoud to get, oh, you want Mr. Doherty first?
The both of us.
Okay, come on up. Dennis. And I can tell you, these 2 prosecutors, this is just one case, but you work with us on so many different cases, and I'm not going to get into all of it, but I can't say thank you enough, because day and night, both of you are tireless to pursue justice and help our men and women out. So thank you.
Thank you,
Ms.
Chief.
Ms. Fadwa
Thank
Hammoud.
you. Thank you, Chief. All right, well, thank you all for being here. This has been an extensive investigation, specifically pertaining to organized retail crime, in which we have seen an increase of all over the county. As the chief had mentioned, Prosecutor Kim Worthy established a business protection unit at the Wayne County Prosecutor's Office, specifically to target the types of crimes that you heard about in this specific case. This has been a combined effort with the business protection unit, Dearborn Police and many of the businesses, in our county, some of which are here today, like Target, Home Depot, Kroger, and Myers as well. You know, the message is we want businesses to operate in our county. We want them to be successful, bring in jobs. However, we want our businesses to operate legally. And we will not be tolerating illegal activity in our businesses, especially activities that are affecting other businesses that are established here in our county, are paying taxes, are employing people, and that's basically the message. I think that Dearborn Police has done a great job sending that message through. We're proud of this investigation, and we hope to continue working together on future cases as well.
What's your name?
Fadwa Hammoud.
How do you spell that?
First name is F as in Frank, A, D as in David, W-A. Last name is Hammoud.
Can you talk about how these items were actually stolen and from what stores specifically?
You know, as to the details of the case, the facts are going to come up in court, and there'll be some detailed testimony. However, some of the stores that were involved, as we mentioned, are Kroger, Myers, Home Depot, and Target. And they were there when the items were recovered, working hand in hand with the Dearborn Police Department as the property was seized and to identify some of this property.
Were those weapons used to force someone to turn over those goods?
The details of that would come out in the case. Unless, Dennis, you have anything to add to that?
Well, not that we're aware of, but that's not to say it didn't happen. It's not that we're aware of, though.
The accused from New Boston, can you at least elaborate how Dearborn jurisdictionally is involved?
Do you want to talk about that, the New Boston?
Well, it's a continuing criminal enterprise, so essentially,
Can you step up to the microphone? I'm
sure.
sorry.
It's a continuing criminal enterprise, so that gives us, we can follow wherever the crime goes, because it's one pattern. So therefore, it allows us to allows Dearborn to go into different cities. We could even go into different counties.
But are we accurate then to be able to say the merchandise was stolen from some Dearborn merchants by these accused? Or I'm struggling with the jurisdiction here.
Yeah, that's how it started. They arrested some shoplifters in the Dearborn area that were stealing from Dearborn and said, hey, this is one of the places we're selling it. Sure.
So are they stealing from these stores and then selling these products on the streets? Is that how it was working, or?
Organized retail crime is basically their stolen merchandise from the stores, like the retailers that we mentioned, and after this property is stolen, it is later put back into commerce, which is what we saw in this specific case. So they are being resold back into the market. And in this specific case, in Casbar.
That's far, did you say? So they had a business then that they were operating and then selling this out of that location?
That's how organized retail crime usually works. So,
What was the name of the business?
Casbar
Where's it located?
in Detroit.
And what's their connection to the bar? Are they the owners?
Yes, she is.
The defendants do have connections to the bar, whether they are employed there or ownership of the bar. All right.
What's your last name
Doherty, Doherty.
and your title?
I'm a prosecuting attorney for Wayne County.
Thank you.
Is the Cass Bar still open for business?
I don't know if it is. I don't know if it's been padlocked yet. We're working on having it padlocked.
And how long do you think they've been doing this?
A long time. And I think those facts will come out as the case is still continuing, I think. This has been an ongoing investigation. And
Challenging for us to not have details to tell the story, you know?
yes,
So are we saying that these items were resold at the bar? Like I could go to the bar and walk out with a generator?
you know, those are specific details as to all the items that are here, and those facts will come out during the case. But they were selling stolen property.
It's a little tough for me to explain to my editor, to my readers, how this worked. So, any light you can shed on how this worked, because if it was said a store, I see, okay, store selling it to other retail customers. A bar, you know?
We've seen stolen merchandise being sold in businesses in which you wouldn't, you couldn't imagine. But this is a prominent crime that is happening in our communities. And the message is that we are no longer tolerating it. But yes, there was stolen property being sold out of that business.
Are you guys investigating more of this type of crime?
Yes, we have been, with the establishment of the Business Protection Unit, there has been cases all over the county with this sort of crime happening, in all kinds of businesses. So, and it's hurting our businesses, it's hurting our neighborhoods. So yes, this is one of many cases being handled by the Business Protection Unit, and it's on the rise. In fact, organized retail crime is one of the main crimes that businesses are actually suffering from today, and it is the reason why consumer prices are going up. So,
Do you have any kind of number, like it's costing businesses in our area so much money?
that is that's a whole different investigation, but I know that we have been, a presentation, I'm sorry, but that is why the prosecutor wanted to have a business protection unit, because of the effect of organized retail crime, the effect that it has on businesses, quite frankly, throughout the country. So.
Question for you again. So there's no reason to assume that these guns were used in any type of violent crime to steal these goods, right? We see guns on the table, but
Right.
that's just
Well-
what was seized in a search, right?
Well, they were seized, but one of the parties was a convicted felon, and it makes it unlawful for a convicted felon to own weapons. And in part, some of those weapons relate to that case. Let me also be clear that the retailers here are victims. I want to make sure that that's understood. It is a fencing operation that we're talking about in layman's terms. I can also tell you that what you see here is a mere fraction of what our department recovered in the way of stolen property. So this is a huge operation. It impacts the legitimate businesses really bad. And, my concerns are that when there's too much shrinkage at the retail level, people start losing jobs and stores close up. So I couldn't be happier to partner up with the Wayne County Prosecutor and our other regional partners to ensure that this crime is attacked in the way it is. Any other questions for our...
In this case that we're talking about right now, is it just these 4 people involved in this case, or could there be more people involved in this case that we're talking about?
I'm going to say this investigation is ongoing. At this time, these are the 4 that we know for sure. And I want to be careful because everyone's presumed innocent unless found guilty in a court of law. So,
Can you say where the merchandise here was recovered? Being in the past, there have been stories where people have storage bins or storage areas, etc.
I can tell you we executed multiple search warrants and they were recovered in 4 or 5 different locations.
Were it residences of these people?
Last question. Some were residents.
Well, Chief, what kind of dollar value would we put on all these items?
I'd say you're looking at over $1 million operation. Over $1 million. There's $620,000 in cash alone, right there in those boxes. So it's $1 million operation. This is not somebody looking for a deal at Christmas time or buying some used merchandise from a friend. This is an ongoing criminal enterprise that victimizes everyone. Okay. Is that?
Thank you, Chief.
Thank you, Chief.
Thank you again. Appreciate everything you guys do. All right, next, on November 26th, officers responded to a residence on information from the homeowner that her boyfriend was suspected of abusing her son. The homeowner set up a nanny cam, during which time she saw online Mr. Blair Allen Langston physically abusing the pet, which was a cat. The cat was badly injured, and as a consequence, Mr. Langston was arrested and charged with torturing an animal, a felony. $100,000 bond was set, and he's due back in court this morning. This case was extremely egregious in a number of ways. Number one, the boyfriend was entrusted to watch the child and the house while the woman was at work, and that wasn't done. Additionally, the animal was being tormented and tortured right in front of the young kid in the house. So, Mr. Langston is in court this morning.
What time's he in court, Chief?
I'm sorry?
What time is he in court?
Anybody know that the hearing this morning? Time? 9 o'clock.
So Chief, should we infer that?
We can get you an update.
To the claim that he was abusing the boy?
I don't have any information that leads to that. It was suspected that maybe there was some child abuse there, but that was not found to be the case in this incident. The investigation is continuing, though.
Can you just describe what was happening to the cat? Hitting it, kicking it?
Hitting it, flinging it around violently, banging it.
Did the cat have to be put down?
No, I think the cat survived.
What do you know about his background, violent criminal history or anything like that?
I don't have that. I'll try to get it for you before you leave, but anybody know about the background? Okay.
Which is certainly disturbing. I mean, when we see people abuse animals, we think, that's just the beginning of what they could be capable of.
Right. Yeah, it's cruel. I'm glad the lady had the forethought to check it out, and we'll deal with it in court from now on.
Can you talk about the danger of someone like this if they go, without being found and prosecuted?
Well, if someone engages in this kind of behavior, there's no telling what their problems are, and it tends to escalate. It doesn't. It's not a one-time event, as a rule, and I'm generally speaking. So, it was a good thing that the woman noticed that there was something going on and took very decisive action. Okay, next. October 25th, we had 3 home break-ins in our West End in about an hour and a half. 2 of the homes had alarm systems on them, and I can tell you that our officers responded very quickly due to an alert citizen notifying us about a suspicious car. The perpetrators in this case made their escape good, and our chase was at such high speeds we terminated it. Investigations revealed that the suspects were wanted in connection with home invasions in our Tri-County area. Subsequent to that, 2 out of the 3, and it's, again, a very complex investigation, 2 out of 3 suspects have been taken into custody. Marcus Hobson was charged with second-degree home invasion in connection with the break-in. Further arrests and arraignments are expected. And when we speak about regional crime, these 3 gentlemen hit all 3 counties, Wayne, Oakland, and Macomb. They ran from all the police, including the Michigan State Police, and in doing so, not only did they violate the security of the residents in all 3 counties, they put everybody on the freeways and on the roadways in great jeopardy because they had muscle cars, and they were really speeding to get away from every one of these sites. But working with our regional partners, we figured out who they were, and I'm very confident that all 3 will be brought into custody shortly. We got 2 down and one to go. And I think you've heard me say, I don't want to say a million times, but often, that our men and women go out here on the street every day and do a great job. Year to date, they've taken 400 felons off the street during traffic stops. Cars that were stopped for no reason other than traffic, equipment, reckless driving. And I can just give you an overview on 2 of them. Most recently, Jamar Lewis Scott was locked up on a traffic stop for kidnapping wanted by Detroit police. He was apprehended without incident and turned over to Detroit. In another traffic stop, Mr. Ricky Holloway was stopped for a violation, and he was found wanted for a warrant for violating the Sex Offender Registry Act. and both of them were taken into custody without incident. And typically, when we stop these types of individuals, they're in cars that aren't up to date, usually illegal. They don't have any money on them as a rule. You always check that, and there's a zero. The gas gauge is on E, sucking up fumes. They don't really have enough to get back home. And as a rule, generally speaking, nothing good would come out of those encounters. But day in and day out, our men and women here stop these crimes before they get started. And I know Captain Shaheen would like me to say that our larceny from autos are down about 24%, and that no matter how much we tell people to lock it or lose it, some do lose it because they don't lock it. So going into the holiday season, I want to remind you to remind our citizens to lock their cars, don't leave valuables visible in the cars. If you do some Christmas shopping, make sure you lock them in the trunk, and always be cognizant of your surroundings. And as we close out the year, I'm happy to report that crime year to date is down 9.1%. And again, that's a tribute not only to our men and women that do a great job, but our citizens here that report crime on a very regular basis and stand shoulder to shoulder with our men and women to make our communities safe. And with that, if there's any questions, some of our people here, we might put them on the spot. If you have a question for our DB or patrol, where's our deputy chief at? Is he gone? Okay, he's off the hook. So, any questions at all?
Can you elaborate in regard to just, and it's routine, but people shopping, I'm thinking primarily women, but it could be anybody, in regard to shopping malls and et cetera, and the reminders of how to better protect yourself?
Yeah, first of all, don't ever leave your car running, no matter how quick you're going to be going into the house or into a location. Don't ever leave a young infant in the back seat of the car with the car running. Always be mindful of your surroundings. We tell people not to park in a dimly lit part of the parking lot, for example. And if you see something that doesn't look right, you can't be in that big of a hurry. Just go park somewhere else or report it. We don't mind when people call us when they see suspicious things that look suspicious to them. We don't mind if they call us on suspicious items, or that every one of these locations usually has security. Let them know. So we have a relatively very safe business sectors, both up on Ford Road and the mall. I'm very proud of that. But again, citizens working together to keep it safe will just make it that much better. That's going to go through a forfeiture process, and it'll probably be confiscated.
It's a bit off topic, but while we have you, can you address at all Thursday legalization, how the department will approach, people smoking in cars on their own properties through illegal
Well,
use? How do you go about that? Have you guys
We're getting a research from the state and the state police. I can tell you, I don't think it's legal to smoke in your car. So we don't want to put that out there. I don't think that's ever going to change. I know there's a 2.5 ounce rule, so you can own up to 2.5 ounces now. Aside from that, there's plenty of work to do to see what role law enforcement will have in compliance with those that choose to grow it.
In a broad brush sense, though, do you see this as challenging or something that you all have to
No.
re-examine as to how you enforce?
No, without a doubt, it is a challenge. I think it's no secret that our medical marijuana state law hasn't really done anything other than put the Mexican cartel out of business. So it's going to be a challenge, but the people have spoken, and it's what the people of this state want. So we'll find a way to strike a balance to make sure that public safety and security is met. But again, the people of the state have spoken, and whether I agree with it or not is immaterial. Ma'am?
You had a car flip over just a few days ago, and it was a young man who was driving drunk. Can you give us any more information on that?
Was it the fatality or the other one?
I believe there was one that hit a tree. It was in the West Dearborn neighborhood.
Yeah, he survived that crash. In fact, I think he was just first aided. Obviously, another case of having too much to drink, but it was a single car crash, and he survived the crash.
How fast was he going that he actually flipped the car over?
I'm not sure. Anybody know how fast that gentleman was going?
I don't think we have the speed yet. It was excessive, the speed limit, though.
He said it was excessive to the speed limit, but we haven't got the exact speed yet.
Chief, quick question about the retail. Of the 4 arrests, would you describe any of the 4 as the leader?
One of them's the leader, and I'm going to suggest it might be the most senior person in the group, but again, that will come out in court. I'm not absolutely sure about that, but I would suggest it was the senior member there.
The 70-year-old woman?
Senior member of that group, sir.
And Chief, so they own the bar then, and so this is like an
Yeah, I want to be careful on what I say up here because you're going to go out and check anyway. So I'm going to tell you, Amy, yes, and that's all I'm going to talk about that. So thank you. We don't want to get in any trouble. All right.
Well, the bar didn't have a wing with these things for sale, correct? They were buying them out the back door.
I've never been in a bar. I'm not being flippant. No, I'm not being flippant with you. So I don't know about the layout, but obviously these 4 people were in a position to move a lot of stuff in a hurry, and like I said, that's a fraction of what we confiscated the other day. So.
What happens to someone knowing they buy stolen merchandise from a place like the
Well, at the very least, they're in possession of stolen RNC, receiving and concealing stolen property, which is a felony depending on the amount, and they can get charged. These kind of cases, though, are real egregious because they're high yield, and they really do a great amount of damage to the legitimate retail community. I want you to note there's a wash machine over there. Those coin machines. Looks like some pretty top shelf alcohol there. So, you know, it's not like the old thing, you're going to lock up somebody for a pack of gum. It's not a pack of gum. It's high-end stuff, and it's not somebody that's hungry or needs diapers for the kids. You know, this is an ongoing criminal enterprise that victimizes every one of us.
But I am curious, for those who really don't have any working knowledge of how this stuff works, I mean, a lot of people know of shoplifters, et cetera, but I think many probably think people are stealing for themselves. But when you get into a criminal enterprise, do you routinely have groups of runners that are assigned to go steal it, bring it to I mean, how does something like this work?
That's exactly what they do. They work in concert with runners. They usually have a shopping list on what they want, and people go out and get the items that they know they're going to be able to turn a fast dollar for. And so it's organized, and they know exactly what they're doing.
How do you steal a washing machine?
I-
I think it's important to mention that organized retail crime is really drug-driven, heroin-driven. As the chief has stated, it's a quick way to get cash. Especially,
I'm sorry, but I just think that drug nexus
Yeah.
is important.
That's important.
a big part of what we've seen in terms of people that commit organized retail crime, much of this crime is really drug-driven, even heroin-driven, and so on. It's a quick way for boosters to go out there and get quick cash. So this crime is not only really affecting our businesses. I think when we say it's affecting our neighborhoods, I think everyone that's worked on cases like this, even our retailers, would acknowledge that this sort of crime is definitely driving drugs in our communities. So just wanted to mention that because I think it's an important part of what we're doing and what we're trying to tackle as well.
Two quick questions, if I may. Do you know how long this operation allegedly has been working? And the other is, you mentioned an increase. 5 years ago, 10 years ago, did you see this type of proliferation of this type of organization, or is this a relatively new phenomenon?
So in 2012 is when the law Organized Retail Crime Act was actually passed. So, and it was back in 2012 that we were able to start this sort of to start charging this sort of crime, because it's different than your regular retail fraud, right? This is not going, like the chief said, to just go and steal a Christmas present or steal Red Bull for your own use. This is beyond that. This is actually going and victimizing businesses from around our communities and putting this merchandise back into commerce. Now, obviously, there are many levels involved in a fencing operation. Boosters, for example, and I think that Mr. Doherty would agree, I would say with confidence that over 90% of our boosters are actually drug addicts that we see. And there are obviously different levels. Yes, we did see an increase, especially in terms of we're not just seeing this in stores, we're also seeing this on places like Amazon, eBay, and with the use of the internet, stolen property is really everywhere. Unfortunately, you know, many times, even some of the investigations that we've done, you know, the cyber world has really affected and has driven this sort of market as well. So it's not only in businesses, but it's also driven on the internet as well.
Does that include organized crime, retail crime? Does that include stealing shipments to basically that goes to houses and residential houses?
Going and stealing like a shipment that goes to somebody's front door. Well, if you're stealing it and then putting it back into commerce, knowing that it's stolen, then that would suffice. However, if you're stealing it for your own good, then that's a different. That's where the difference is.
Have you guys seen that kind of like retail, organized retail crimes, where there is like organized drinks that basically go out and steal from Porsches, from residential houses?
I don't think I don't think we've seen much of that, as opposed to stealing from the retailers and the businesses in our communities. All right, thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, everyone. If anyone wants to speak with the chief one-on-one, let me know, please.
So as you guys can see, this whatever we're showing you, it's a stolen property, and so as you guys can see, there's a lot of stolen properties that was basically recovered by the Wayne County Prosecutor Office and the business division headed by Prosecutor Attorney Fadwa Hammoud. There is 640,000 in cash, and in addition to other properties and other stuff that's in there. So that was for WhatsApp Media Network. This is Hussein Hashim from the police, the Dearborn Police Department. And if you guys have any question, please let us know, and we'll be guys with you with other stuff that it comes to the city and to the Wayne County. This was Hussein Hashim for WhatsApp Media Network. We'll see you guys very soon. Just showing you some of the stolen property.